Okay, now let's write a stored procedure that fetches the image sets for a particular gallery. And we want to support two use cases. So the first use case is browsing the system-wide gallery. And that's going to be all of the images that you've created and uploaded, and all of the public images that were uploaded by other people, unless you're the admin. If you're the admin, you get to see everything. So that's the first use case. And then the second use case is browsing the gallery for a particular user. And here, you want to see all of your images if you're browsing your own gallery, or all of the public images if you're browsing somebody else's gallery. So let's go ahead and create a stored procedure. I'm going to go to the shared database, and under routines, I'm going to create a new routine called FetchGallery. And this is going to take some parameters. So the things that I need to know are the param owner, so whose gallery I'm viewing. And for the system-wide gallery, that's just going to be an empty string. And the current user, and that's so that I can check to see whether the user is the same as the owner of a particular image, and also so that I can look up the user's role in the user's table, so I can let the admin look at everything. And then I also want to include a start position and a length. And the reason I'm including these two parameters is because if there could be like millions of images in the site if it's popular, and you don't want to fetch all of them in one big list. What you want to do is incrementally fetch little chunks of the list as the user moves through the gallery. So basically implement infinite scrolling, so you show the top part of the gallery, and then when they scroll to the bottom, you fetch some more, and when they scroll to the bottom, you fetch some more, and so on until you hit the end of the list. So in order to retrieve just a segment of the gallery images, we need to specify where you want to start in the gallery and how many you want to fetch. So the param owner is going to be a varchar 64, and the param user is also going to be varchar 64. And then start and length are just going to be integers. So now we're ready to start the definition. And we can do this all in one SQL select statement. So we want to select, and then let me take a look at what columns we need. So I'm going to open the ImageSets table in a new tab, and I'm going to browse the structure. So the columns that we need are just the columns that we need to display the gallery. So we're going to need the image set ID so that the user can navigate off to a page that shows the image, and also so that we can display the thumbnail. Owner we don't really need, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some additional information in the title and then use the jQuery UI tooltip in order to have a little hover menu that shows the metadata of the image when you hover over it. So I'm going to include the owner as well. I'm not going to include the time for now, but that would be a nice feature to add later on, so that you show the image was uploaded 3 months ago or 2 days ago or however long. Name of the image is good for the metadata. Sharing I'm going to need because I want to display that as well. Description I'm not going to include because this is going to be a long piece of text, and I don't want to put all of that in a tooltip. And then I don't need any of these IDs. So image set ID, owner, name, and sharing. Image set ID, owner, name, sharing. And then I want to select from ImageSets. And then I also want to join users on, so, and then I want param user equal username. And then I want to continue returning image sets even if there is no matching user. So I want this to be a left join. So this is really similar to what I did with images in fetch image, where, and then either I want role equal admin or username equal owner or sharing equal public. So this is going to return all of the images that the user is allowed to see. If I want to restrict it to just the images for a particular person, then I'm going to need an AND here. So all of that and either param owner equal that or owner equal param owner. So both I have permission to see it and it's an image that I'm interested in. So I think that should be it. Let's go ahead and mark this as deterministic, and the SQL access reads SQL data, fetch the images for a gallery view. And then I haven't used these two param start and param length yet, so let me go ahead and add that as well. So in MySQL, that's the limit command, and you can give it a starting ID or a starting position and a length. So this number is from 0. So if I give it, for example, 0, 30, that'll give me 30 up to 30 rows starting at the first row. And if I say 30, 30, that's going to give me rows 30 through 60, actually 30 through 59. So let's go ahead and save that. And then let's try it. So I'm going to go to the SQL command, and let's try call fetch gallery. Mark is the owner I'm interested in, and I'm fetching it as Mark. And let's go for the first 50 images. So unknown column admin and where clause, that should have been a constant. So actually let me right click and open this in a new tab. And I'm going to edit fetch gallery. And here this should have been admin. So let's try it again. All right, so I have 50 rows coming back. It's showing me 0 through 24 of 50. And it's showing me both private and public. Some errors have been detected on the server. Let's take a look. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Let's try going to the next. So let's see what I can see here. Undefined index order by. So I'm using a limit, which means I have to order the results. And I actually want to do that anyhow, so I'm glad it caught that. So what I'm going to do here is, let me edit Fetch Gallery again. And I want to order in descending order by ImageSet ID, so that the most recently added ones are at the top and the oldest ones are at the bottom. So that way when you load the page, you'll always start with the newest images first, and you can scroll down to see the older images. So order by ImageSet ID descending. Okay, so now let's try running that query again. So I'm still getting an error. Okay, as far as I can tell, this problem is just because PHPMyAdmin is trying to display the results in a particular order, and it doesn't know how to deal with the return results from FetchGallery. So I think the problem is in PHPMyAdmin, not in the stored procedure. We're going to operate under that assumption until we're proven wrong. So let's go ahead, and it seems to be returning all the results correctly though. So yeah, so it's always starting at 154 to 105. It doesn't know how to start later on. So I'm just going to change this to return 20 rows instead. So there's the first 20, and then let's try the next 20. Yeah, so 134 through 115. So this actually does seem to be working. So 134 was the first ID of the second page. 135 is the last ID of the first page. So this does seem to be working. So now let's try if Mark X60 tries to view Mark's images. Now I get all under Mark, but sharing is all public. Now let's try an anonymous user. And I'm going to ignore all. So I'm still getting Mark and all the public. Now let's try all the images in the system, but only the public ones. So I have some Mark X61s, and let me change that to 500, and change this to 300. There should only be 60 some odd though. Right. So this is what I get. Mark X61, Mark X60, and Mark, but only the public ones. So that's looking correct. And then if I try browsing everything as Mark, I should get all the public ones and also the private ones for Mark. So these are all public for Mark X60. For Mark, actually Mark X61 and Mark 60 are just the public ones, but for Mark I get both private and public. So this all seems to be working correctly.